So let the talking marathon begin. All right. Dear people, dear friends, loving twin flame peoples from all over the world, we're going to start talking again about all the polls and quizzes that you have been filling in about yourself, about what you feel and think about your union, and also what you think it in general is, and what the rules of it are in the organization of the universe. And there are quizzes in which there's a good and a wrong answer, and there are also polls in which you have indicated on my community page on my channel homepage. In all those polls and quizzes, and in the polls you have indicated what you like best or what is your favorite, and I can read a lot about that, and we're going to talk about the outcomes and just talk you through all kinds of things and ideas that are educational according to me while we're doing this. So this is video 3 of that effort, and we're going to see if we might today finally get through it all. But I hope this whole series is educational for you and fun too and all of that. So yeah. So let's quickly start to get to the first one. It is a quiz for this video, and I will again start to try to explain what I see in front of me here on my screen. There are screenshots of your filled in polls and quizzes, and I'm going to see if I can present it to you so that it is as if you are actually seeing the questions and the answers and stuff. So let's quickly go. This is a quiz. When your twin flame is not coming to you yet, what can you best do? This quiz received 19 answers. And the first option was simply wait until the universe delivers them again at your doorstep. 11% voted for that. Second option, study twin flame inner work tools and start executing it for yourself. 32% voted for that. Wow, that's a lot. That's beautiful. And the third option is complain and moan until the cows come home so that you're unloading your grief. 0% voted for that. And then the last option was go to a real twin flame community and teacher, plus study the twin flame inner work answer. 58% voted for that. Beautiful, because that was the right answer. Well, I've now given it away pretty soon. And let's talk about looking back at those earlier answers. Because the first answer was, when your twin flame is not coming to you yet, what can you best do? Simply wait until the universe delivers them again at your doorstep. 11% thought that. Yeah, so that was, according to me and the quiz, therefore, not true. And I think that is because you can wait until the universe delivers them at your doorstep again, and that has something to it. I understand, because it means that you are having patience, that you have compassion for them, that you understand something about the working of the universe, that the twin flame is belonging to you, and where there's a belonging, they must be brought back again many times, because they belong to you. So that seems logic too. So all of that seems like pretty good ideas, isn't it? I think it's wonderful that you persist in your waiting, because persisting is good. But waiting is not so positive. And that is because it is a very passive, almost depressive energy. You're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And before you know it, you're just stuck in this attitude of waiting and attracting via the law of attraction more waiting and more waiting to you, you see? So, although there are very many elements of it that seem plausible, this is at the end of the day, not what you can do best when the twin flame is not coming to you yet. But if you would transform the idea of waiting inside the reality of how you're living that to something else, then it might start to work. And you could transform that idea of waiting in yourself into, for instance, an attitude of, hey, I can empower myself by doing the twin flame inner work with the correct tool, which is the key tool consisting of 4 steps. And I teach how that works in our Facebook community called Your Abundance. You'd be very welcome to join us there, and you find the link to that Facebook group in the description box below. There are videos there and downloads. There's a monthly workshop that you can attend so that you can learn it, and many more things. This is something that you can do in that so-called waiting time that then is not a waiting time anymore, but it starts to become a period of time of inner work in which you start to create your own fate and your own destiny and your own union. You start to create that union process. And that might, on the outside, look sometimes a little bit that as if you're staying home and being on your own a lot. But you are actually creating your union because you're doing the inner work. So you're not passive, you're not sitting around waiting endlessly. Ah, I'm so tired of waiting. No, you're doing something and you're doing the right thing. So that's a thing that I would say is best to do when your twin flame is not coming home yet. And therefore, the second answer, for which 32% has voted, study twin flame inner work tools and start executing it on yourself, is a very good answer. And therefore that answer was also included in the only true answer, and that was go to a real twin flame community and teacher plus study twin flame inner work. That would be the smartest thing, because you would be guaranteeing yourself that you're also in an environment of people that are conducive for your process, for your inner work. They won't talk you out of it again. You will guarantee yourself that you're having the right inner work tool for twin flames and not something else that is well meant and is some sort of take care of yourself and your soul and your health and whatnot. But it's not the actual twin flame inner work. That doesn't bring you on the layer where twin flames live, the layer of life where they live. It doesn't bring you there, for instance. And then you're doing a lot of great stuff maybe that you might feel good about, but you're just not doing the actual twin flame inner work, and you're not using your so-called waiting time well enough. And that's a pity, because I want for you to reach this state of harmonious twin flame union, which is a state of consciousness or state of being, and I want you to reach it as soon as possible so that you know that it is your true twin flame that you're investing in, and also that what you're building there will stay up and won't come down anymore, and it will feel harmoniously what you're doing there, because you're actually starting to build on a life together there. Sometimes people forget that. They're like, wow, it's all so much signs, so much heart communication without them physically here. And they're totally immersed into all of that. And that is very understandable. But it is, at the end of the day, about becoming real happy in your actual physical daily life and starting this life as one together in the physical. So maybe you want to have a family, maybe you want to work together in your mission and start a mission business. There's all kinds of things that you're going to do there that are made out of actual real human stuff. Very 3D, very much daily life. So that's what you're going to do there. And yeah, it's just wonderful when you would invest all that effort in the right person and be guaranteed that it's not coming down anymore, what you're going to build there, and also know that it will feel harmoniously. And this does not guarantee that you would be psychologically transformed and healthy already when you're in harmonious union, but it guarantees you that you are clicked in with the divine. So that's everything that might still need to happen for you to heal through will and in time and in a profound way, so that it will completely disappear. And that's what that is, harmonious union. So what was not a right answer was complain and moan until the cows come home, so that you're unloading your grief. Now, you need to unload your grief. There's a lot of grief on the twin flame journey because you're saying goodbye to an old life and an old state of being within this lifetime. And that causes a lot of grief, and that's very understandable. I can't come to think of anyone for whom there was not grief. Grief is normal. It is about letting go of what is eventually in your ultimate version of yourself, your divine identity, not you. When you've let that go, you can be with your true twin flame, because that's the other true you, so to speak, that you're now reuniting with. And this letting go can't come without grief. So that's normal. I think that's healthy. So you'll feel a lot of grief. But the point of this third answer was that you're going to complain and moan about it until the cows come home, until the end of time. That's what that means. And that is not going to work. No. It's not a good thing to do when your twin flame is not coming home yet, because your complaining is actually a very negative, low vibration, and you will be totally stuck there in the complaining and not doing your inner work because that will make you feel good, and that doesn't help. You'll just attract more of the same vibration of complaining and moaning forever to you by that attitude. So I'm very happy that no one voted for that. And this was my official answer. You can do a lot when your twin flame is not coming home yet to make things go smooth when it is time for them to do so, and to actually ignite the spark for them to do so. An extra element even is that when you've got the twin flame inner work down as a habit, when they're back, you will be equipped with the right tools to be able to create a continuous good experience, because now you know what to do when you're upset. Waiting in apathy and complaining till you are tired will not do any good. Beautiful. That feels complete. So let's move on to the next poll. This is a poll. Well, something else now. What role does your twin flame currently have for you most? And this is so interesting because the twin flame has a couple of roles to you that they play naturally in life. I know they're just, the other spirit part that is here for you. When you go in your invisible soul makeup to the place where your soul is connected back to your source, you will see that there might for you be a couple of spirit parts there that actually belong together. Now, for the very, very most people, that is two parts, one divine masculine at the core on that soul vibration, and one divine feminine on that soul vibration, on that level of life. You are the divine feminine. And these two spirit parts are actually designed to also on the earth, born in a body, live closely and intimately together in a beautiful, divine feeling relationship that we call a sacred union, because it's so much light that flows through it. So that's what it is. But when we then look at that human connection and on the very physical human and psychologically human experience that this entails at the same time, you can see that they have a couple of roles towards you. And yes, they are your ultimate lover, but they're also your best friend and your life partner and your mission partner, your teacher and your student too. Holy cow, that's a lot of roles, isn't it? So I was curious to ask this question in a poll to you. What roles does your twin flame currently have for you most? Very interesting, because I thought, I don't even know how exactly people would interpret this question, but it would be very interesting to see what the answer will be nevertheless. Because the most people from these 21 votes that this poll has received, they voted for the teacher and student, which I combined into one answer because there were not more answers left to put into this poll, because this is like a pre-baked format from YouTube and I can't do whatever I want with this. So the answers were gone. But you know, this is also, of course, it belongs together, student and teacher. It's very clear. So that was one answer. And 57% answered that they experience their twin flame currently the most as their student or teacher. And I thought that was so interesting, and so it just says so much that is actually like the laying the foundational spiritual level or spiritual role that they have for you continually. That's so true. They must, because they are to you, they're your teacher and your student. And you learn all the time. That's what the twin flame inner work is about. And when they come into your life, you start learning right away, because there are all kinds of new experiences that come alive. And you do learn from that. One of the things you learn from it is that this kind of divine love is real. Well, that's the beginning of it all, you know. Wow, it's real. I feel it now. I felt it in my heart. And that's a teaching moment for you to understand that, by contrast, this is real love and many other things in society and in social life are not. Yeah. Because that is so. It's really sad. The ego, social and societal life is actually devoid of love. Although they can have all kinds of material arrangements that seem beneficial for people, such as giving money to a person or whatnot. And they can contribute to a loving situation. But actual love comes from the divine and is felt in the heart, and you open for that vibration or not. And when you're only in the ego and in the material world, then you're not open for that vibration. That's what that means. So the twin flame situation, the whole phenomenon of it, well, it's natural, it's for everyone, it's your deeper design, that's all, is a teaching that this is what actual love is. That's what it is. So I think they're continually your teacher and your student, and this is only the very beginning of how they can be your teacher in teaching you that. And of course, at the same time, you are teaching them what love is by your mere existence, which is so beautiful, because that means that it is unconditional. This divine love is unconditional. And 57% voted for that. So you guys feel that. And I love that. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it provides a lot of clarity about what's going on. Many situations that we tend to complain about or what have you, that feel difficult, that feel like a challenge, that you're upset about, that you have emotions about and feelings about, they are teaching moments. They're teaching you something because you are upset, maybe not them, not someone else. You are upset about that, and that means that you can learn something from that situation. Maybe you need to let go something that you thought about yourself, which is eventually not true. Maybe you need to transform some emotions inside of yourself so that they become something else. They will transform into divine love. And you've learned that that issue is not an issue, it's just not transformed yet into divine love. And now you've transformed it. Very good. And in this way, because they create for you all these situations that you feel upset about, you experience them as your teacher, because you can now transform all these moments in which you're upset about what they've done to you or said to you or not done to you or not said to you, right? And it is a very direct teacher of what the divine wants to teach you, because they're the first person in the hierarchy under the divine. It's you and your twin flame. So that is really like almost as much as the incarnation of the divine for you. And you do learn from that. So also be glad that they give you all these experiences of being upset, because you can purify yourself as a result of that, and your union comes closer and closer as a result of that. Your harmonious union will be made come true as a result of that. So there you go, beautiful. And because you are that to them as well, beyond your conscious trying, they are your student too. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's really hard to grasp even with your brain, like what we're talking about here. It's really sensational. If it weren't so divine, because sensational sounds actually too much, but it's just fantastic. It's almost a Zen riddle to think about, because it's so baked into the design and the architecture of life, that this is so, that it can make you dizzy when you try to think about it. And that often happens with these deep, true Zen riddles of life, that it can seem as if you are going to be dizzy about it. But that means that you have resistance to it. So let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. And be transformed what that insight does to you. And that is where you need to go anyway. And now you won't be dizzy anymore, but you will become sobered up in that new space. So that is the whole teacher-student thing of twin flames. And I think it's really extraordinary that this exists, and it's beautiful, but it's actually in divine truth also the norm. It's normal. This is how twin flames function. And it's beautiful that you have indicated that by answering this poll, that this is so, that you feel this too. And then we have a tie between the mission partner and the ultimate lover. That's what you currently feel that the twin flame has as a role for you most. Interesting. The ultimate lover, yeah, I would say if they are already in execution, let's say your lover, maybe you're dating them, or maybe they are that to you because you are focused on that and you love that idea of having them as your ultimate lover. That's how you look at them primarily, and you would like to date them. That can be what that means too for people having pushed this button. And people feel that they are the mission partner to them. And I love that there are people that feel that, because I love the topic of mission. We are actually at this point in 2023 working in a period where I do a little bit more videos about twin flame mission as well, because I love it so much. And it is actually a big pillar of twin flame healing, because if you are connected to your true mission, you start to become much more magnetic and attractive for the true twin flame, because it's such a big part of your union eventually, that you start to exude this love from your heart, influence other people with it. And when you take that further, you also start to do actions in that. And when these actions become more, you can start to support all of that with a business structure building underneath of that. And then it becomes your mission business. And I can teach that for you completely. I'm also a spiritual business coach. Maybe you didn't know that, but there you go. But because this is such an important but very much missed topic of your twin flame healing, and a pillar of transformation that can help you into your union and attract your twin flame. I love it just so much. And so I love that you guys indicated that you have thought about the twin flame as your mission partner. Bravo. And then we have 10% indicated that they see their twin flame at currently the most as their best friend. And isn't that wonderful? And I have to say, this is also like the undertone of many other roles. They're just your best friend, if not all. They're just your very, very best friend in the entire universe. And you can feel that in your heart, in how you're vibrating together. You're just best friends instantly without needing to talk about anything or making rules about friendship. You just are. It feels very natural. It feels as though you've known this person for an eternity already, and you just know them. Very interesting. They are your best friend. And the best friend can also be a stage in your union coming together that can maybe be larger than you think it is or should be even. Because sometimes we need a little more space and time, or arranging relationship changes before we can actually execute the idea of being each other's lovers, for instance. And that's where best friends is a very good sort of phase of all these roles colliding together in one big being meaningful to each other in an ultimate way. Beautiful. And then we have 5% that voted for life partner. So that is the least in this poll, but I think that is because people, of course, come here because they're not yet in union and fully living together in a family and marriage and living together situation as of yet in harmonious union. So they are not yet their life partner in that sense, and I understand that. So that feels pretty complete to me. Let's move on. So this is another poll. And the question is, what holds you back the most, you feel, making your twin flame journey to a success? When your answer is not in the options, then please comment below what you feel holds you back. This poll has received 7 votes. So let's see. Let's start with the most votes and work our way back. And I'm just going to tell you the answers when we're there. So the most votes, 43%, went to the twin flame doesn't comply with my idea of what needs to happen. As the answer to what holds you back the most, you feel, of making your twin flame journey to a success. The twin flame doesn't comply with my idea of what needs to happen. So I put this in for a reason, of course, because this option that people voted for, because I think that is what people actually feel. That's what they feel. That when you would see the twin flame and they're doing this and that, and they're not prioritizing the relationship with you yet, as of yet, you start to feel that that is not fair or something, because you have a vision of how relationships and social emotional development should work, and you have a will to make that come true together, which all doesn't necessarily need to be wrong completely, although it can be controlling pretty quickly, so watch out for that. But the point is that now you have an idea of what needs to happen next from your idea of this is psychologically right, or seen my past right, or seen social, emotional, normal ideas of society. This seems right. And you would be like, so yeah, so they just need to leave that other girlfriend, and I think they would need to live right there. And I will then free myself up again and I will meet them there. And that seems all logic to me and social, emotionally sound. I think that would be the next step, isn't it? And that's what I think should happen. That's what needs to happen. And then that doesn't happen, or not yet, or not quick enough, or not in the time frame that you have thought out of for yourself. And that is then a disappointment. And you get the idea that the twin flame doesn't comply with my idea of what needs to happen. That is such a good idea. And it's so incredibly well thought out and well meant, and so incredibly psychologically sane. That's what you think. And all of that. But the point is that God knows what needs to happen next. And you are in the plan of God too, to transform in this whole transformation process. And you might have overlooked that. And you also might have overlooked so many other things that are playing a role in this entire situation. And when you would let the energy of the divine come through your union, where you are a part but not the steerer, the only one that is the leader or something, you let it through your union, and then reality, with the help of the divine, starts to organize itself in a new sort of way that you can follow. And that's how twin flames fall into these new social emotional places in which they start to build together. So to let that divine energy move through your union and be also subject to the transformation that is asking from you as well, as much as from them, to make that possible, you do the inner work for twin flames, which is the key tool, consisting of 4 steps that I share in videos on this channel and also on my blog, on my website, and a lot in my Facebook group called Your Abundance, and also in my books that you can buy on Amazon and on Bol. And this twin flame inner work is actually not made out of psychological ideas. It is the twin flame inner work, and it is about spiritual ideas, so-called. It's tuning into the spiritual layer of life and let that do its job. And then as a secondary phase or level, you have the psychological level. So sometimes you just think that you know better than that spiritual work what needs to happen. And the solution is to step back from that a little bit, humble yourself enough to do the twin flame inner work with the key tool and keep on doing it. Search for a guide if you need or want, and go to a community that can support you with it. And then things will fall into each other like a puzzle that is fitting. So, but it was answered to most. The twin flame doesn't comply with my idea of what needs to happen, because that is what you are experiencing currently. That's why you're here, and I understand that. So the whole phrase of doesn't comply actually implicates that you are controlling the twin flame. This does not work. It is good to have psychologically sane ideas in your mind, but the whole fact that you want a twin flame to comply with that is the exact problem why you're stuck. So be aware of that. Don't be hard on yourself. Just be aware of that. Start to do the twin flame inner work. So the next one that got the most votes after this was What holds you back the most, you feel, of making your twin flame journey to a success? 29% voted for fear of actual changes in my physical life. Now, I find that very honest of you that you voted for that. Very honest, very good. You need to be honest on the twin flame journey. This is amazing that you dared to push this button, is what I feel. Fear of actual changes in my physical life. I would so understand that that is happening. I have that too. It is not nothing to fear actual changes in my physical life, which potentially could be moving house, the losing of money, the ending of relationships, among which partner relationships or even marriage relationships, to make space for the new development that your heart calls out to. These are actual changes in your physical life, and it's very scary. I totally understand that. So what helps there is doing the twin flame inner work and making that a priority over anything. Your soul work, your inner soul work is going to be the priority over anything else, and that is just what you're going to do over anything else. And then there will be actually, with the help of the divine, carved a pathway for you that is not fearful and that may have changes in your physical life, but it's not fearful. And you can do that step by step by step by step. So don't hurry, don't push yourself rigorously in a direction of losing everything that you own when that is not necessary. Just follow the inner work. But I have to say that following the true inner work for twin flames that I advise can sometimes hold deep and vast physical changes. At first, in the beginning, because there might be a lot of misalignments inside of you that doesn't align with your true twin flame vibration. And especially when you have built a lot of stuff already from your ego, so let's say from the wrong place, quote unquote, maybe you have built a lot of marriage, family, money, jobs, mortgages that eventually don't align. And that might seem big when that starts to change or break off. But the fear can, by the way, be just as big for anyone with the tiniest change. It doesn't really matter. It's just what meaning you give it, right? Many people experience at first a breaking off of what was not true to start to become more aligned to what is true, you see? And that is what you want to have. And sometimes it seems a little bit like a gap, like what kind of gap is this that I'm in? But then you start to become aligned correctly and you start to understand after a while that this is actually going to give you everything that you ever wanted and more, much more than you could ever dream of. And that this is a good change. But yeah, it can happen that at first it seems like, what is happening here? But you called it in. It's the beginning of making space for divine love, you see. So 14%, we have a tie here for 2 answers. What holds you back the most, you feel, of making the twin flame journey to a success? The fear of needing a divorce, family split, or ending of relationship, 14%. My negative emotions that take me over completely, 14%. I could understand that. And actually the need for divorce, family split, or ending of a relationship was much in, I actually discussed that already in the actual changes in my physical life answer. But it is also specific, of course. I understand that relationships are close to our heart much more than physical stuff often. And Well done you, hartstikke goed. That was Dutch for very well done. Uh, and so understandable. Yeah, a lot can change. But maybe you can see it like this. Don't see it as relationships needing to end or fall away, as if that's something against your will. No, you're actually going to experience for the first time what relationship actually is, because you're going to be repaired in the relationship with the divine, which is the relationship with your true twin flame. And that just changes your entire definition of what relationship even is. Now, for the first time, you will be having a correct feeling and understanding of a relationship, and you will have a really loving relationship instead of a fake loving relationship, which is thus not loving. And that is good. It's a good phenomenon to have, to finally know what a real relationship is. And it's actually natural that things that are then recognized as fake will fall away. It's actually not more than logic and natural. It just goes away. And maybe you should see it in that kind of an overview of things, and then it will be very different. And how you coach yourself through it is by doing the twin flame inner work about everything that upsets you on each moment that you make steps. And the other one was my negative emotions that take me over completely. What holds you back? That my negative emotions take me over. Yeah, I can understand that. And I actually have experienced that myself too. Maybe you could call it the dark night of the soul or the cave of fear, in which it just washes over you and you seem to be completely obliterated as a person by all these negative feelings and shadows and ego pieces and fear and guilt and shame and anger, forever anger and grief and whatnot, and sadness. Yeah. But, it doesn't need to be like that. You can do the twin flame inner work and actually start to transform these emotions. That doesn't mean that you won't experience any, because you will, because you hold these things inside of you. And it's only good that they awaken and you feel them finally, instead of them being repressed in a corner where you're only doing as if you don't feel them, but you actually do. And your entire life is fully influenced by that, but you're doing as if that's not so. So now it comes into your awareness. You truly feel it completely. You're just vibrating with anger. And that's good. It's a phase. It's now just, yeah, how do you say that in English? Well, it's just loosening up inside of you. And that is the beginning of it being felt through to completion and leaving, you see. So that's how you make them leave, by actually feeling them. So that's good. It's a good development when you would consciously feel those negative emotions while doing the twin flame inner work. And it can happen that we have, anger for a couple of years. I had that. I had repressed anger inside of me for around 3 years of letting go of anger every day, until it was gone. So, wow, we can have grief inside of ourselves for 2 years long, or maybe even 4, and lie awake at night because of all these grievances at certain times, according to the Chinese organ clock, in which the organs that are directly connected to grief are active in the night, because all your organs have a specific time in the day that they are the most active to clean themselves. And for the lungs, that is grief, and I think that is 3 a.m. I hope I'm right. I'm just doing that by heart now. You can just look it up, Chinese organ clock, on Google, and then you will see all these images that will show it to you with the times. Very many people lie awake at 3 a.m. or on other exact times that will repeat every night. I certainly had that. And it had everything to do to a T, completely with these unprocessed emotions and the organs they were connected to and when I woke up. And it can take some time, but be glad that now you're losing what you're no longer repressing. Very good, fantastic work. So that's all part of doing the inner work concerning negative emotions. And one last option that had 0% was, what holds you back the most, you feel, of making your twin flame journey to a success? Shame for having such a divinely profound love in my life, 0%. Well, I came up with this answer because I felt that. I felt that was relevant because I had felt that, or still feeling it. For me, that was an issue. I was taught in my childhood that you were not supposed to feel actual love, and if you did so, you were punished and just, taken down, and your brain was switched off by their control techniques, which is very narcissistic. You were not supposed to feel actual love. And I also remember scenes in church where we also only went at Christmas, we were that kind of family. And yeah, I just felt a spark of divine love there. And I was so touched by it that I got almost sick or almost fainted. But that was not right, according to my mother. So I was dragged outside the church and pushed home because you're not going to feel real love here, are you? And being healed by that, are you? I mean, come the fuck on. Well, Mom, I guess churches are for that. Really strange. But strange is, the mildest word that I can come up with for this. It's really detrimental and sick. So I developed a shame for having a divinely profound love in my life. And as a result, I have felt the twin flame love for 3 decades while all the time trying to prevent talking directly about it. And that's over now, so I'm very happy about that. Shame for having such a divinely profound love in your life, I thought, could hold you back to making the twin flame journey to a success, because when you feel ashamed for this profound, divinely inspired twin flame love, then you can't live it anywhere. You can't make it real. You can't make it come true in the actual real world out there, right? Because the shame holds that back. The shame makes you repressed on acting on it, or even sharing it, or exuding it from the heart, from the energy. So that is actually holding you back a lot. So maybe you do feel that, even though people did not indicate it in the poll. Maybe I explained it now better so that you understand that you might have that. Shame happens a lot. We're pushed into shame in our childhoods a lot, and that then extends into adulthood when it's not healed and corrected inside of you. And of course, guilt can have approximately the same working. All of that. So let that shit go. And when there are people that think that your divine love, your unconditional love, your twin flame love is ridiculous or crazy, or they want to deny it or repress it or send you away because of it, that's their fault. That's their problem. It's their issue, not yours. Go away from that place. Stand up for yourself. Yeah. That will probably keep them at a distance, which is then their choice. So this feels pretty completed. Let's look at another one. And it's a poll again. And the question is, when I say, let's do the twin flame inner work, then you reply. And there are a couple of options. And they received 8 votes. And 88% of the votes went to the answer that reads like this: yes, that'll heal everything that feels off inside of me. What a fantastic answer. Congratulations if you gave that answer. It had 8 votes, not a lot, but nevertheless. The twin flame inner work, yes, that'll heal everything that feels off inside me. And you are right. Start doing it. Start feeling healed. Very good. And 13%, so that's one person, voted for this answer. Nah, dude, that's not for me. I'd rather keep my fears. So I hope this person was just having a joke and having a laugh together with me, because that was just a little bit with a wink from me. But I do think that is an attitude that actually people have a lot, that they'd rather keep their fears. And understandably so, because you might have learned that that is the only way to survive and whatnot. And in your childhood, well, time to do the twin flame inner work to make that go away, I'd say. People often keep their fears because they, one way or another, feel that they actually fare well with having these fears, better than letting them go. And of course, it's also a big unknown. You don't know yet what it will be like when you let those fears go. Well, but I would like to invite you to try that out. Do the twin flame inner work with me, with us. Start doing the key tool in our Facebook group, Your Abundance. Start to figure out how it works. Try it out for yourself once. Come to our monthly workshop about it, so that you know what it is. And you know how it feels to lose your fears a little bit, and then you can do more after that. So another answer with 0% votes was, sounds good, when can we start? Answer, upcoming Sunday workshop. Well, that is not upcoming Sunday right now, but I already told you that there is a workshop every month, just like that, for you to share in our Facebook group, Your Abundance. And it is on a Sunday. We're doing it at Sundays at this point in 2023. And you would be welcome on this monthly workshop. And I also offer twin flame inner work explanations and examples and whatnot in live videos, sometimes in a group. I do more than only that. So just always stay tuned and just, be present and participate. There are many opportunities that are extended all the time. So, all right. And another answer with 0% answers was, oh, so that will bring us union, right? And that's just like a funny way of saying that actually I meant that. It was not really sarcastically. It was, that's true. It will bring you union when you do the twin flame inner work. That's your empowerment, that you can do this twin flame inner work for your union and create union. You can do it. It depends on you, not on me or on God or on you, or on the stars, or on, I don't know, the angels. No, it depends on you. Are you going to do the twin flame inner work? So that will bring you union, indeed. And another answer with 0 votes was, meh. I'd rather have my twin flame right now, out of the nothing. Well, nobody voted for that, but I think it sounded funny. I think that's an attitude that people might have, and I also had that, so I understand everything that I talk about is because I also did all these things, so don't get me wrong. I share because all of this, all the teachings, because I did them all wrong. I'd rather have my twin flame right now, out of nothing, without doing anything or giving anything or doing inner work or without any of these things. I just want them right now, and that should be enough. Period. End of story. God, I want now. That's it. Okay, I understand. But that's actually an ego wanting to have something that can only happen in the soul. So you can scream as loud as you want. You can even take God into this consideration of yours. Consideration, well. But it won't happen because it's the ego wanting something that only the soul can have. Only souls can come to union. Egos can't come in union, let alone harmonious union. So that's just an attitude that we might have, and I wanted to voice that attitude. It doesn't come right now, and it doesn't come out of the nothing because it doesn't come from the ego. But it actually does arrive in the actual eternal now, that is the experiential soul space in which you live in the now, in which you self-actualize on the soul level, on the spirit level. And that is where the twin flame will arrive. So not the right now in time, but the right now of the soul eternal moment. The twin flame can only arrive there when you are in soul and you let that now moment speak for itself. You let the divine into there too. And then they will come out of the nothing almost, because you are attuned, because you've done your inner work. So this is very contradictorily that they actually do come now and out of the nothing, but not from the ego. And I try to show you the ego attitude that does not work. And I think that pretty much came across because nobody voted for it. So, but that a holy, sacred now moment from the soul in which they arrive does not come totally out of the nothing, in the sense that you've done nothing. You've actually invested in yourself. You've done your inner work. You've spent time doing the inner work. You have maybe accepted a guide or a teacher. All of that is something that you did, you know, it's not nothing. Yeah, that were all answers, but I was so pleased that 88% said, yes, that'll heal everything that feels off inside of me, doing the twin flame inner work. So you are cordially invited to come do that with us. And let's move on. What would you rather have concerning your twin flame journey? It's a poll and it received 12 votes. Would you rather have very quickly being in full 3D union life together, or a false twin flame experience so I can work out my core lessons, or a slow moving union process so that it'll all integrate well in me, or a revelation of who my true twin flame is so that I am 100% right, or a smooth experience of ease and joy no matter how slow or quick. So what would you like? Quick or slow? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious. Because there is a technique to these things. It's a different thing when you want to have the quickest possible answer to when you would like to have a slow moving process. It's a different meta technique of where the divine guides your journey. I'm not kidding you. That's why I speak about these things, because I have videos that explain things that Divine Mother says through me to you about these kinds of topics. That's why I had this poll around that time, I guess. So 67% voted for, drum roll, a smooth experience of ease and joy, no matter how quick or slow. All right, you want a smooth experience of ease and joy. Well, you guys are intelligent people. I would love that too. But I can't guarantee that's going to work, because sometimes we need to be shocked out of certain ego things in our mind that we otherwise are not prepared to let go. So know that. Then you will be less surprised. And 17% wants to have a slow moving union process so that it'll all integrate well in me. I love that. But I'm also like not really sure if I believe you guys here. Yeah, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I always had this feeling that the very, very most people would want to have their union as quick as possible. That's how people act a lot, you know. They even think that being with a guide or a teacher or a coach or a community, or even doing a twin flame inner work tool, would set them back in time too much. That's how I feel that people reason for themselves. They even think that would be too much of a waste of time because they want to have their union quickly. Well, if you would believe that, that is very contradictory to the truth and to what helps you, because of course, being in a community, being with a teacher, a coach, or a guide, and doing the actual inner work tool with Key is the best investment of your time and money that you can ever do to actually get into your union the quickest as possible. But I just have this inclination that I think that people think that or feel that. They want to have it as quickly as possible, and they think that doing an actual inner work tool with 4 steps is already too much for them because they want to have it now. And not understanding that doing that tool over and over every day for a couple of hours, for instance, that will give you the success that you're asking for and the quickness too. Quickity quick. So there is another technique to being quick, to being slower. Slower might take a couple of decades, which can be beautiful too. Quick is actually the new thing of the twin flame journey being so in the news, so to speak, at this day. And that does require a little bit of another technique that is very much available from the Divine Out now for you. I'm afraid that I can't say too much at this point in this video about how exactly that works behind the scenes. But I do have another video about that, and I do apply that together with Divine Mother for you if you want that. So that's no problem. We know if you want that, actually, the quick one, and we can provide that experience to you. And there were actually 8% of people that want to have a very quickly being in full 3D union life together. Beautiful, and that's possible. And I always would advise going to the state of consciousness of harmonious twin flame union first, and then building that 3D union life together from that. And another 8%, it's a tie, said, a revelation of who my true twin flame is so that I am 100% right. And I think that's very intelligent that you voted for that one, because it is true that we are going to spend effort and time and money into doing twin flame inner work and being guided to go to your union the quickest as possible. And you would actually want to spend that effort and time and money and all of that into something in which you can be sure that it is going to be your true twin flame and not the false one. Because otherwise you can start over and you've, wasted all these resources and maybe years and years of your life. So I think a revelation of who my true twin flame is so that I am 100% right is actually very smart. A revelation process is what exists. I do have a video about that. If you want to know if I have a video about a certain topic, then I advise going to my channel page. So homepage from my channel, click on the name of my channel underneath this video, and then you already on the circle as well, or one of the two, or both. Anyway, you'll find it. Click, and you'll go to my channel page. And on that channel page, you do have, I think, above right, I hope, the search bar with a magnifying glass, and you can put search words in that box, press enter, and then videos will come up from only my channel that will show you where that word is in the description or in the video or in the title of the video. And I might just have a video about the topic that you have questions about. So know how that works and make use of it. I do have a video about the revelation process for the true twin flame, because it does come when you do the twin flame inner work and are in a community and with a true teacher, and you start to move in the direction of harmonious twin flame union. And then the revelation process will come somewhere around that time too. You will be experiencing a personal revelation between you and the divine of who the true twin flame genuinely is, and this revelation will keep on coming. It won't be anything else, and then you know that this is it. This really helps, and you can call this in also by doing the correct twin flame inner work and working with the correct teacher and community and so on. Then you can call this in, and we can make this also possible, Divine Mother and I, when you would work with me, as part of what we can provide for you on the journey. A revelation process that will be fit for uniquely you, and that will also include the fact that I can, together with you, acknowledge that, because now we're together in that wisdom. And there are options to have that done for you and with you as well. And then I have one answer, and that has 0% vote, and it reads, a false twin flame experience so that I can work out my core lesson. Nobody voted for that. What would you rather have concerning your twin flame journey? And I actually think that is a little bit sad, but it might be due to a lack of insight, which is normal, don't get me wrong. A false twin flame experience is not necessarily bad. It just means that you're going to work out specific core lessons for you that you otherwise would not be able to learn, or not learn as quickly as through this method with the false twin flame. And through learning these lessons, you will become ready for the true twin flame in union and even in harmonious union. So just like it says, a false twin flame experience so I can work out my core lesson. The false twin flame experience will have a core lesson for you. When you've learned that, you will actually be able to step over to the true twin flame experience with a lot more ease than you would ever experience or ever imagine, and a lot quicker than you could ever imagine too. It might be coming with a lot of strong emotion, but that doesn't mean that it can't be done. And it doesn't mean that it's not somewhat normal, in the sense that many people will experience this as part of their quickened journey. So I actually think that the false twin flame experience to work out my core lesson, as it is formulated here, is a desirable thing, more than you would think it is. Yeah, there you go. Surprise, surprise. And I think that we are going to stop here for this video. Who knew that we're going to have even more videos about the polls and quizzes that you have answered? And I do actually have 2 other videos like this as well already. And maybe when you have missed that, I will send you now to the first one of this series, and you will find it here in a couple of seconds. When I stop talking, then it will appear right here. And from that one, I hope it will be easy to go to part number 2 as well, because this was part 3. And to go real deep in your twin flame journey, I do have the Black Friday deal until today, end of the day, in which you can obtain a personal reading about everything you need to know for a successful journey. And normally this Divine Love reading currently costs €99, but I give a discount of over 40% off. I must have gone nuts, but there it is. €57. Take advantage of it while you can. This deal is for new newsletter sign-ups and your Abundance Facebook group members. You only need to be in one of these. Pick yours. Click on the description box below. It opens and there you can read everything. You can click on the link, pick the newsletter or the Facebook group. And when you're in, beautiful, step 1. Then you pay through the link that is there as well. And I also have a link below to see a longer description and a download example if you want to see that first. And after having gone through these steps, I send you a confirmation email to the email address linked to your PayPal, and then I will make your reading as quickly as possible within a very reasonable time, depending on how many buyers I will have. This beautiful Divine Love reading will never come back for this immensely low price. So I advise you to take it. I would love that for your union so that you can be supported a lot more. And I hope to see you real soon again in my new videos, in video number 4 of this series, or in video number 1 of this series when you've missed it, and I will place it right here. Love from Petra.